Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, welcome back, listeners, to Caroline and Sabrina Claiming Your Success Conversations. Honestly, team, this is a big one. This is a big one. Sabrina, firstly,
I'm
how you
feeling
feeling?
so excited. I can't even tell you. I don't even like. Okay, you carry on.
This is why it's all like blah, 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 word vomit at the minute because it's all the heebie-jeebies, whatever it's called. And Faye, hold on, as everyone can see, there's a third head. There's another floating head. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good, thank you.
Our team. Firstly, we have two episodes left. This is season episode 11. Sorry, I can't even like. We were just talking about how the last 6 weeks has gone. It's flown by so quickly, and the last episodes having the guests has been amazing. So we have Faye here, guys. We are and why? Listen, I can't even. It's so hot right now, team. You can't even hear, but I have a fan on it as well. Right. Episode 11 is to do with such a massive transformation for someone. And when Sabrina sent me over the last 6 episodes, when I saw episode 11 and I saw transformation shift, and I knew I still had a guest to bring, I was like, Sabrina, I'm going to bring the best person who is going to share this story, the one and only Faye. And you know what, right? On that note, I'm going to stop talking now. Faye, would you like to just give a brief overview of maybe how we connected, right? Because Sabrina, just like you, Miss Face slid into. Wait, I may have slid into your DMs first, but you followed me first, right? You connected. You made the initial connection in it, Faye.
Yeah, I made
Yeah.
the initial connection, yeah.
And how long ago was that?
Is that 2 years ago?
Two
Three. Could have been
years.
two or three. Yeah,
I
two.
mean, it's just over 2 years now. So please do share how we connected, why we connected, and just the floor's yours.
So if you don't already know, I'm Faye. I'm a trans woman. Me and Caroline connected on, is it Instagram first, Caroline? I think it was
Facebook.
Instagram. Or
Facebook.
was it
Facebook.
Facebook?
Yeah.
Facebook. Yes, because I was using Facebook a lot for my
Mm.
online business back then. I was doing like network marketing, I was doing like travel and Forex and stuff like that at the beginning. And then I wanted to like get more out of, on the online space and how I can adapt and, make it better for myself. So that's how like I reached out to Caroline because I saw obviously her stories and they were amazing and I was like, oh my God, I need to connect with this lady. So that's how we sort of
I
connected
love that.
really.
What was it
Yeah.
specifically about Caroline or what you saw that made you think that either this was a great person for you to connect with to do all the things that you just said that you wanted to do in your business, or just somebody that you wanted to have kind of in your ecosystem?
I think it was a combination of different things. One, again, obviously, we all know Caroline for her energy. Oh my God, I was like, I need some of this. And then I think like the way she was showing up, I'd never seen that from like a networking type of business before. Like it was very different. It was like a different approach that I'd seen.
Can I just say, right, Faye? Me and Sabrina, we always talk about the wrong way we feel to do network marketing. So if you ever do want to touch on that, because Sabrina, Faye's been in that too. Yeah, if you ever do want to touch on that, because obviously where she's saying about how I show up is to do with how Faye
So
was
let's
taught how to
let's
show
let's
up
go
and how
there. Let's go
different it.
there. What
Yeah,
was it that was what
she
was it
gonna
that
go
was different?
there.
Like compared to how maybe you'd been taught that what success had to look like. What was different from what you were seeing from Caroline?
So what I'd been taught in previous was connect with people, go into groups, and like do like
Cold
how do you say
messaging.
it? Cold network, like yeah, cold messaging. Sorry. Where I saw Caroline as showing up for herself, and the energy and the love that she gave on a post, and not just for herself, but for other people. It felt like a really genuine connection, like she wanted to help others. Um, and I don't know, I just didn't see that on everybody else's. It was like, oh, let's just pop a picture up, or let's just do this. And like the way Caroline portrayed it in her videos was just incredible. I was like, actually, I need some of this, but how is she doing this? Like, and I think it was like just the consistency as well. Like, she shows up every morning without fail. And I'm not a morning person, I'm really not. But the way I
I
saw
said
it,
reader ain't Ava.
I am a morning person. I'm like, "Phew, I can't do what she does, but um, but yeah, I think it was just the way she was showing up. I think
Why
consistently
was that something that spoke to you, do you think?
because one of my fears or one of my problems is that I'm not very consistent. And I was like, okay, so I have this issue or I have this problem. Can Caroline help
Mm,
me fix it? And it was like, it was just, I wanted to like connect with her on that basis. And, that
I
was
love that.
the
And that's
talking
so
really, I think.
big. Like, I hope everyone caught the underscore of what Faye just said is that she recognized that there was a limit maybe to her success and what that thing was. And she was seeking somebody that could help her get over that limit. Right. And Caroline and I talked
Nice.
about this in season one about the importance of having the right mentors and looking for the right people. And you can go back to, I can't remember what episode that was, but in season one, when we talk about mentorship, look at me plugging like previous episodes. It's almost like we're
Love
becoming
it.
professional at this thing now. So so what I'm hearing is that that's what Faye did. She was able to recognize where it was that she had a missing link in her growth or her leadership ability, and she was looking for somebody who could help her plug that gap. And that's huge. I don't think enough people recognize that, are able to like
Hmm.
pinpoint that specific thing that is missing for them, and then looking for somebody who's going to help them with that.
Like, and because people seem to, what people don't understand is the, like, even when you feel jealous of that person, that's actually a hidden inspiration, and they need to actually go
Mm.
to that person instead of competing and comparing and thinking they have to step back. It's no, you actually meant to do the other way, like Faye did. Sorry, Faye, carry on.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Faye. What has changed? Like, what has changed for you from where you were when you first started on this idea of starting a business for yourself, and where you are now? Like, what has been that process?
I'm gonna say Caroline can probably answer this much better than I can.
No, no, no,
But
no, no.
yeah, probably. But I've noticed since me and Caroline has had coaching this last, what, how long is it? 2 months, maybe? A month
Two
or
months,
two?
yeah.
I've noticed a massive change. Like I'm doing 2 posts a week now. I'm being a little bit more consistent. And that's with the help of Caroline. She's helped me to, get over some barriers, that I've had. Um, and I just feel like I'm moving more in the right direction now. Like I feel like
Mm.
I don't know. I don't
What
know.
is it?
Yeah.
Can I? Can
You go, Caroline.
oh, because I was gonna say, right, Faye. Even let's go back a bit more because you were doing network marketing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Firstly, why did you step away from network marketing? Because Faye's not
Mm.
doing that at the minute. So why did you step away from network marketing? Or why did you feel like you needed to? Because that plays a part in who you are right now and what you and how your focus is too.
So when I joined the network marketing business, it was very much I felt like, they bring you in, they give you all this training, they give you all the, I don't know, training calls, and that you're supposed to do it this way or you're supposed to do it that way. And there was too much going on, in that side of it, but then also my own side in terms of my own mental health, I wasn't able to compartmentalize. I think that's the right word. Um, business and personal life. I had my own issues going on in my own life, and it was trying to balance that with trying to do a business, and I struggled. I really did struggle. And the way that they taught you, or that the way that it was at that time, just and that's why I had to step away. It felt overwhelming. It was too much. There was too many Zoom calls. There was too many group chats, there was way too much, and I was like, oh my God, my head is blowing up. I cannot do this. And that's why I've stepped away from network marketing at the moment, because I just feel like I need to work on my inner self. I need to work on myself first to then move on into
Let
business.
me
I
let me
think that's an
play devil's
important key there.
advocate because I like to do that. Do you think that there is an element, and maybe this is just a thought that I'm going to implant in you, and it's not your experience at all, so feel free to share that. But do you think there's an element of the because of the way that you kind of saw or were taught that it had to be done, was so far removed from you being able to like be fully you in the
Mm.
process of it all? Do you think that played a part in you not being able to handle it all in one? It was almost like that, like having to keep things so separate and not being able to bring your whole self into it because that's not how it's supposed to be. Do you think that played a role?
Possibly. I think I am quite very direct, and sometimes I have no filter. And obviously, being trans, a trans woman can be quite difficult in certain situations, especially on like an online business, and people might not be so accepting. I would hope that they are, and so far so good, I guess. But you just never know. You don't know what people's opinions are, and you don't know if you're going to be too much. And then do you then do I then become like reserved in terms of business? I can't bring my full self because I'm not supposed to act like that, or I'm not supposed to be like that, or and again with my insecurity or self-esteem, how do I show up on social media? Can I be like crazy Fabi, or can I just be like business Faye or reserved Faye, and it was that like is hard to,
Mm,
kind of mental
mm.
compartmentalize and deal
I
with.
think if you want my opinion, I think my answer to that is yes. Like you said, can I be this? Can I
Hmm.
be that? Can I be that? Yes. And you can be this and this and this and this. And I think the beauty actually, and it's something that I coach on a lot and I see happen a lot, is that when you're in a niched kind of uh, I hate to put it this way, but like a
Area.
sector of society or community, right? That a lot of people have the tendency of thinking, well, I need to tone myself down in order to be more acceptable to the whole, right? But have you ever heard someone say, and I'm sure you've heard this from Caroline, if you speak to everybody, you speak to nobody. If you try to speak to everybody, you actually speak to nobody. So
Hmm.
my like where I go in my head is who is it that you want to serve? Like how is it that who is it that you want to make a difference for?
So sort of my community, the trans community, especially because here in the UK, it's just totally gone backwards. And the law has just, I don't even want to, yeah, it's just crazy. We've just gone back to the 1940s, and we're not progressing, we're not moving. So I want to help and support, like, my community and just not everybody, but like
Mm.
that niche, to
And
niche it down,
do you
I
have a
suppose.
specific
Yeah.
way in which you want to help them?
Ideally through TikTok,
But what kind of
get my voice
message?
out
What kind of
there.
message are you like spreading?
It's just like positivity and, be yourself. Don't let anyone like beat you down. I've been through that journey, I've been rock bottom where, disclaimer, edge of suicide and things like that, and I want to help those people in those dark times know their potential and know that they are worthy and that they can do
Mm.
things, I guess I'm living proof of it, I guess, but
No,
No
yeah.
listen,
guessing
you
you
are
are.
1000%. So then I was so glad that you answered that question in that way because why on earth would it make sense for you to dim your light? If that's the community that you want to serve and in that particular way with that particular message, does it make sense for you to show up as any less than your full self?
Exactly. And that's, I guess that's the light that I need to be for someone, you know. Like I think Caroline mentioned it, you know, be the inspiration that you wanted to be. Is that right, Caroline?
Yeah,
Um,
be the inspiration that younger Fabi needed.
yeah,
You.
and that's who I wanted, you know, that's the way I want to show up. Maybe Fabi can help just one person, you know, if it's one person, great. But if it can help 10, 15, 20, fine, perfect, great.
That's so beautiful. So, in this process of change, as far along the path as you are so far, who do you see yourself becoming? Like Caroline just mentioned, the younger Fabi be who she needed. Who is that?
The one that didn't have the support at home, and one who was struggling inside mentally and couldn't voice her opinion.
So, or the opposite of that, you want to be a safe
Mm.
space for people, and you want to um, be, that, yeah,
Empower other people and be them, you know, be their
mm.
authentic self, you know, without having to fear or shame or
Can
doubt,
I
you
tell you a
know.
secret? I think you are already that. I think
Go on.
that's who you already are.
I don't
You
know.
are.
I don't
You are.
know.
Okay, so let me ask you this. How do you deal with that doubt and that kind of fear and all those things that come up for you? How are you dealing with all that?
Currently, I've had counseling sessions and I'm on medication, so I guess they're like sort of helping. Sorry, my phone's dipping. So yeah, I guess I've been having those, and then obviously I've reached out to Caroline for some coaching around like the online stuff. But yeah, in terms of like the dealing with your emotions, more like therapy and stuff. Yeah,
Not being afraid to ask for help.
yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah.
Could we just because I feel like therapy is looked at as a negative, and I feel like it needs to be looked more as a positive. Faye, could you just share how much therapy has helped you and why you will continue in it, because you're looking to continue it, aren't you, as well? Just share
Yeah,
a little, just to help that person who could be sitting there thinking, oh no, if people know I go therapy, they're going to think, ah, there's something wrong with me or not right, and this that, and just give your takes on it.
yeah. I mean, therapy has really helped me throughout the years. I've had it since I was like six, no, about 20, I suppose. Like on and off, you know, different agencies. Is that what you call it? Different services. Um, and just to be able to, I think we get so busy in our lives, we don't take time for ourselves and we don't reflect. And that 1 hour could be your reflection time. I think my counselor said, "You're very self-aware, Faye, aren't you?" And I was like, "I guess, but that's because I've had therapy, you know, I've had therapy all those years, and it's allowed me to have that space to be, you know, have a safe space to talk about my feelings and my thoughts and how, you know, how can we move forward and what can we do?" I feel like it is very important, and yes, Caroline, it's not talked enough about. People like see it as, oh, you know, if you go in therapy, you're weak, and it's actually the opposite.
Hmm.
Um, you're actually stronger if you go to therapy because you actually have time to reflect about your life and about your thoughts and your opinions. Um, and that's what's so amazing. You know, that 1 hour changed the whole perspective on life. And that's mind blowing. It really is. And especially with men's mental health, um, they like men see it as, oh, you know, I'm not going to therapy. I want, you know, I want to be the man's man. You know, I'm all right. I can deal with it. But they're just as much, you know, they probably need it just as much as us women do, you know, so it's vital, I think.
I love
But yeah,
that. Such a powerful testimony. And what I'm hearing is that you aligned your actions, the things that you're doing, with the version of yourself that you're wanting to become, right? Like you've gone to therapy, you've reached out for
Mm.
mentorship, you're recognizing where it is that you need help, you're taking the medication, you're looking for resources. That's aligning your actions with who it is that you want to become. And that's such a huge part of the transformation process that I don't think is talked about enough, actually, at least in that nuance, because people want to know what to do, right? We all like, give me the strategy, give me the step by step, and I'll do it. But without that
Yeah,
underlining piece of not understanding why you're doing the things that you're doing, you have to connect that dot, right? We're doing these things because the version of you that you want to become does these things.
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And you've got to want to do it. You've got to realize and want to do it. That's the big key there.
Just there's been times where my eyes were like literally welling up, and I'm glad I'm sitting so far back because it's like, yeah, you would have saw the water there. You would have saw the water
Why
there.
are you getting emotional, Caroline?
No, do you know, you would not believe how nervous Faye was and how nervous Faye been all week and how many voice notes she sent me. And I've purposely ignored it, you know, even to the point where a couple of days ago she was like, I don't know if you can hear, but I've got a sore throat. And I was like, no, you ain't getting out of this. You ain't getting out of this. You know? Even when it was like 3 weeks ago, I told Sabrina that I'd asked you, you know, and you didn't give an answer. And then I think it was last week, I then was like, you know, maybe I need in my head I was thinking maybe I need to reach out to the Instagram to see just in case. And then you just clapped back at me and was like, no, why am I missing up this opportunity, Faye? Like you're growing so much, and I know you don't see it yet, but when you do see it, listen, you're gonna. Oh, it's just going to be incredible, you know, and it's going to be free floating, Edzir, like on some this massive transformation that we've just done, and we're going to be helping thousands of people and all that jazz. So yeah, it's just me sitting there, just all in my feels
I
right
love it
now.
so much. And one of the things that is so powerful about that is, you know, I think it's interesting that we've kind of done this, and I think more to come on this, but Caroline and I each selecting a guest from our own community and ecosystem, the other one not really knowing very much about that person. And it's interesting to reflect because Caroline's view of you, your view of you, and then my view of you are all completely different things, right? And that's so interesting to me about how human beings operate, is that we live in our reality of who we think we are, and we do things from that space. Whereas sometimes I think, especially when, and this is the important part of having mentorship, having community, having people that like hold your
Mm.
goals and your dreams and the future you in their hands and want to pull you into that, is that you need to start seeing yourself and operating from how other people see you sometimes. Because what Caroline just described as the version of you that she once saw compared to who you are now, and you maybe don't see that difference, she's seeing that
Hmm.
magic that has already occurred. Whereas for me, I don't have a reference point from the past. I'm only seeing what I see in front of me, and what I see in front of me is somebody who's incredibly powerful, incredibly clear, and aware of her who she is, somebody who has an incredible message and heart for what she wants to do and the difference that she wants to make. And we've only been talking for 23 minutes, and I'm like, this is Faye. So for you sitting in the version of you that still like has all the knowledge of all the past hurts and all the past struggle and all the past pain and things that you've had to overcome, that sometimes can be the limiting factor, right? Is because we still see ourselves as that. You feel free to borrow my version
Yeah.
of you.
No, that's entirely true, you know, and I feel like I'm limiting myself because of the past trauma that I've endured, you know, the insecurity, the maybe the way that I look or the way that I talk or, you know, I think like the voice for me is a major one. Like I hate my voice, but I mean, that's my own insecurity. Maybe that's stopping me from moving forward. I don't know. Um, but yeah, no, it's
Hmm.
powerful.
It's so cool.
Eyes are watering. I
Caroline's
can't
like,
even.
I'm a
I
mess.
haven't. I've done 6 days now, and I'm just wrecked right now.
Sorry, Caroline.
It's like, why? Yeah, it's your fault, Faye. Your fault for growing.
How do you stay grounded, Faith, through the evolution and all of this stuff that you're wanting to become and all the things that you're walking through still? How do you stay like grounded through all of that? Because I think that's a big fear a lot of people have, is that they think, if I go on this transformation journey, like, I don't know what that future version of me looks like. And so people get almost like they get stuck in staying in the now, because at least they know what to expect here. You know, it's not what they want, but at least I know what to expect. Whereas that, the future is uncertain, it's scary. How do you stay grounded through that evolution process?
I want to say take one step at a time, day by day. Because one thing I have learned is if I live in the past, I'm not getting anywhere. And if I'm living in the future, I'm not going anywhere. If I think too far, then I'm getting overwhelmed. I get jealous. Look at all those people. Why is it not me? And you just don't get anywhere. And then if you live in the past, you're like, oh, so, this is my beliefs, this is my fear, and again, you're not getting anywhere. So I think my advice would be, yes, look for inspiration, but don't get jealous by it, and take it step by step. Like a lot of people have said to me in the past, baby steps, so bit by bit. Um, and then now I say day by day, I work full time as a night worker, so I am absolutely shattered the next day. So um, I'm just taking day by day and seeing what I can do, you know, on that day, really.
That's so insightful. And I love that. And I hope our listeners got something out of that. It's exactly what you said is actually a psychological thing. Like, you guys know me, I'm a big old geek, so excuse me while I get my geek hat on for a second. But they say in psychological world that if you're living in the past, that's called depression, and if you're living in the future, that's called anxiety. So being present and fully here in the now, that's the only place that we can have full presence and joy, and kind of just being okay with how things are. And that's not to say that we can't have aspiration for our future. That's a different thing than wanting the future to be here today, right? So I
Mm.
just love everything that you shared with us today. And I don't know, is there like a final word or message that you want to share with anyone listening, either somebody who's maybe in this exact same boat as you are, or just a general message for anyone listening about claiming their success?
Just being able to sort of take a minute for yourself is important, to sort of analyze yourself, I guess, or realize where you're at. And I know in those difficult times, if you are struggling, I know that it can be so hard. Your head is mashed. You can't think. There's clouds everywhere, and so it is just to sort of take that time for yourself, and not be too hard on yourself. Um, Caroline's probably thinking, Faye does that already. Faye's already too hard on herself. I know, but just try and not be too hard on yourself, and just, realize where you're at and have your goals and dreams, and try and work with somebody to um achieve those. Yeah, I guess.
And then lastly, Faye, do you have any questions for Sabrina? Because I was like, Sabrina, listen, she's got some time with you. This is where I've learned. Do you have anything for Sabrina?
Hmm.
Any of your
Um,
questions that you had written down? Any you want to ask her? Anything?
I was gonna say, how would you quieten the voice of self-doubt? Because I self-doubt
Mm,
all the time. I can't do this, or I'm not eligible to do that, or can
mm.
I do that? And how do you quieten that voice in the
Gosh,
head?
that's a great question. And I do a lot of work on the inner critic. That's what I call it. I name mine. I name
Share
mine.
the name. Yes, you have it.
Her name
Yes.
is Patrice. She's super obnoxious. She's super rude. She's loud. She's hateful. She's a awful version. Like, she's the worst possible version of me. So I first of all, if you want a resource, read The Untethered Soul. I can't remember who the name of the author is, but The Untethered Soul is the book, audiobook, whatever, that goes a lot into like this disparity between the voice in your head and you, because they're not the same thing, right?
Hmm.
And I think recognizing that, first of all, is a great first step of being able to quiet that noise. Because we're with ourselves 100% of the time, right? Like the longest relationship you'll ever have in your life is the relationship you have with yourself, because you're with you all the time. So if you don't get good
Yeah.
at recognizing where that voice is coming in, because that voice is just like the bullshit from the past, right? It's all your pain, all your
Mm.
disappointment, all your frustrations, all the things that have happened before, all the proof that you have that you suck and you can't do it and people hate you and all of that. That's what that's all that voice pulls from. Whereas you, the version that exists now, is the one that has aspiration for the future, that has hope for something better, that wants to live into a different reality. And so you have to find it within yourself, the ability to disconnect those two things and be able to hear the voice and be like, I hear you. Okay, thanks so much for that, but I'm going to go and do this. Like, thank you for that advice. Thank you for wanting to protect me right now, because that's what you're doing, is recognizing when
Mm.
that voice is just like, hey, when we tried this before, this is what happened. Or when something like this, you were in this position before, this is what happened. So that voice is just like, hey, excuse me, we want to stay safe. Excuse me, can you not? Whereas the you that exists now, the you that exists now is like, regardless of what has happened before, like I know that my future is not dictated by my past. So I have to go and do something different. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it, but I'm just going to go and do this instead. And it sounds crazy to be, because that you're legit having a conversation with yourself, but that is my best advice about tackling that inner doubt, that self kind of talk that is not overly positive, is recognize that it's
Hmm.
not you, and then go and take the action that is telling you not to, while appreciating where it's coming from, but not letting it be your limit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Mm. The
And name it.
bitch.
I find it super helpful to name it. I
Name her.
really do. Because I'm like, oh, Patrice is here today. And I say to my, like, all my friends and Gio, my husband, they all know Patrice. So if like something happens or I'm in a like down mood, I'm never like, I'm not one of those people that gets sad and like takes it out on other people, but I get very into myself. Like I retreat and get very isolated. Um, I'll be like, oh, Patrice is here. And they understand what that means. They understand what that means.
I knew there was a name because you put it on your posts. You
I
used to put it on
do.
your
And
posts. That's
I
why I knew
share it
that
with
she
my
had a
social
name.
media. I'm like, Patrice has been real hella loud today. And so people know what that means. And I think it just gives it that like presence that's outside of yourself that makes it less, I suck, I'm the problem, I'm the one. And you can be like, no, Patrice is the one and she doesn't get to call the shots today.
Also, Faye's taking notes. Remember when I sent you the
And
the scribbling of the person who said they were listening to the
Yeah.
podcast and they took loads of notes?
I love
There
it.
she is.
My kind of girl. I love people that take notes. It's my love language.
Gosh, Faye, how you feeling?
much better now.
Great, because you do know you have just spoke for 34 minutes.
Wow, really? Jeez.
Yeah, we've come to the end. That is episode 11 of Claiming Your Success. Guest speaker with Faye. I mean, Sabrina, do you have any last words to share with
I
the
mean,
audience?
I don't know. I just think, Faye, this conversation, thank you so much for sharing so openly and powerfully with us and being so willing to
Thank you.
share your story and
You're
be
so welcome.
here. And the thing that I hope people take away from this conversation, regardless of if you can, relate to exactly Faye's story or you just recognize like snippets of yourself in what she shared, the power of not running away from yourself. That's kind of what I want to
Hmm.
pinpoint, because so often, especially women, I think, on the path to success, whatever that success looks like for you, we all have to kind of determine that what that is for us. But we run away from the work that is going to take to actually get to that version of ourselves,
Hmm.
because it's confronting, because
Hmm.
it's hard, because we have to overcome some stuff. Like, stop doing that. That's the message that I have. Like, Faye is a perfect example of someone who is like, I'm not going to do that. And when you decide that, your whole life opens up for you. Like, I could get emotional and cry right now just from that, because it is the missing piece for people. Yes, we can give you the strategy. Yes, we can give you all the tactics. Yes, we can work on your mindset. But if ultimately you don't decide that enough is enough, I'm not doing it anymore, nothing is going to change. And Faye, thank you for
It's
being
going to
the
change.
example of that for us today.
Amazing, because like you just said, if you don't do the hard work or you don't do the work that it takes, you're not gonna be developing. You're not gonna be moving, and it is hard work. I'm not gonna lie. Confront those emotions or thoughts, it's hard work. Um, and you've got to be in that space to deal with that and be able to do that. And that's why I think therapy is helpful because you've got a safe space, you've got that encouragement, you've got that support. And yeah, that's what I want to share.
Thank you, Faye.
All
Thank
right.
you, guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Faye. Thank you,
See you next
everyone.
time.
Until the last one.
Bye.